The world does not belong to the righteous. It belongs to those willing to do what righteousness forbids. The man who clings to virtue alone is a man waiting to be broken. A prince must not have any objective, nor thought, nor take up any profession, but that of war. War is not just fought with swords. It is fought with deception, control, and will. Those who refuse to embrace power in its totality will always kneel before those who do. The ends justify the means. A dangerous truth, but history does not ask if a man was kind. It asks if he prevailed. The just hesitate, the powerful act. Morality is written by the victors, dictated by those who stand upon the bones of those who followed the rules.
Everyone dreams of success, of achieving their goals, and of winning in life. We're often taught that the path to victory is paved with good intentions, unwavering honesty, and acts of kindness. We're conditioned to believe that if we just play fair and be good, success will naturally follow. This is a comforting thought, a pleasant ideal that many wish were true. However, Niccolò Machiavelli, a brilliant political philosopher from centuries ago, saw the world not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is. His teachings weren't about creating a utopian society where virtue always triumphs. Instead, he offered a brutally honest look at how power operates, how people behave when their self-interest is on the line, and what it actually takes to succeed in a world that isn't always fair or forgiving. If you genuinely want to win, you must confront this uncomfortable truth. The world doesn't always reward virtue, it rewards effectiveness. And sometimes, being effective requires understanding aspects of human nature and power dynamics that many people prefer to ignore. This includes grasping concepts like influence, strategic thinking, understanding motivations, even the less flattering ones, and managing how others perceive you. This isn't about being evil, it's about being realistic. Machiavelli's core message wasn't to be a villain. He simply advised leaders, and by extension anyone seeking to achieve significant goals, to be effective, to survive, and to win. To do this, you need to understand human nature in its rawest form, not the curated version we present on social media, nor the noble ideals we claim to uphold. He spoke of the primal instincts that drive us when no one is watching, our desires, fears, ambitions, and insecurities. Real power lies in understanding these instincts, because it allows you to anticipate behavior, influence outcomes, control perception, and strategically guide situations in your favor. To truly win, you must first accept that life isn't always fair. Playing strictly by the rules doesn't guarantee success, and often it's the person who understands how to strategically bend or even rewrite the rules who rises to the top. Machiavelli argued that a leader must be willing to do what is necessary, not just what is morally approved by everyone. If unwavering kindness leads to weakness, then strength must be shown, even if it feels harsh. If complete honesty leads to ruin, then strategic deception isn't just acceptable, it can be essential for survival and success. This isn't just advice for princes or heads of state. This applies to every interaction in your life. Every social gathering, every negotiation, every online exchange, they are all subtle power plays. Understanding the nature of power, influence, and perception is no longer optional. It's a fundamental skill for navigating life effectively. People are constantly assessing. They might smile, but they're often gauging your usefulness. They might praise you, but they're also measuring any potential threat you pose. Power doesn't automatically go to the loudest or the nicest. It goes to those who truly understand the game and are willing to play it strategically. Machiavelli's advice often sounds harsh to modern ears, especially his famous statement, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." This isn't because he believed fear was a noble emotion, but because he saw it as a more reliable basis for influence and authority. Love can be fleeting and unpredictable. People's emotions are constantly shifting, but a healthy, strategic form of fear creates boundaries and ensures obedience. Consider this. If your influence rests solely on being liked, the moment people stop admiring you or find someone else they prefer, they stop listening. However, if they understand the consequences of crossing you, your authority tends to remain intact. This isn't about being cruel or a tyrant. It's a calculation. In the strategic chessboard of reality, emotions can often lead to a checkmate, while a calculated approach based on understanding human reactions can secure your position. The fear Machiavelli spoke of isn't terror, but a deep sense of respect and tactical gravity. It means your presence carries a certain weight. People think twice before challenging you. They take your words and actions seriously. It's the kind of respect that ensures your instructions are followed, not out of affection, but out of recognition of your strength and capability. Think of it this way: a storm doesn't apologize, and a lion doesn't need permission to roar. Similarly, when you enter a room, your energy should subtly communicate, "I cannot be taken lightly. I cannot be exploited." Machiavelli also understood that appearance often matters more than pure substance in the eyes of the public. Not because reality is unimportant, but because most people don't look beyond the surface. If you project an image of being confident, strategic, and in control, people will naturally assume you are. And once they believe it, their behavior will adjust to that belief. This is why effective leaders meticulously manage public perception. Your image is your armor, and your reputation is either your strongest weapon or your greatest weakness. To win, you must learn to control what others see, even if it means carefully concealing your true intentions or capabilities until the opportune moment. Famously suggested that a prince must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. This highlights the essential duality of power: wisdom, the fox, and force, the lion, strategy and strength. If you are only a lion, pure force, you will eventually be deceived and outmaneuvered. If you are only a fox, pure cunning, you might see the traps but lack the power to enforce your will and will be devoured. But if you embody both, you become truly formidable and difficult to challenge. Think about how many people prematurely reveal their plans or ambitions. They overshare, making themselves vulnerable to envy, sabotage, and competition. Machiavelli warned against this. He advised that your true intentions should be as hidden as a blade under a cloak. Let others guess. Let them underestimate you. This creates an advantage, allowing you to strike with precision, not out of rage, but with cold, calculated effectiveness when the time is right. Winning isn't about being aggressive all the time. It's about being strategic, knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak, and when silence is more powerful, and even when to appear foolish so others drop their guard. Machiavelli taught that deception, when used strategically, is not necessarily dishonesty. It can be a vital form of defense in a world where wolves are disguised as lambs. If you walk in blindly, you become prey. But if you observe, learn, and move with purpose, you become the astute hunter. Most people are driven by a fundamental human desire: to be liked, to gain approval, and to avoid conflict. While these desires are natural, Machiavelli would argue that they are precisely why many people fail to achieve their true potential. The craving for approval can weaken your edge, making you predictable and easily controllable. People might flatter you to manipulate you, or mirror your insecurities to influence your decisions. But once you release the need for constant validation, you become truly formidable because you're no longer emotionally leveraged. Your decisions are then based on strategy, not insecurity. Winning isn't always glamorous. It often demands sacrifice, moments of isolation, unwavering discipline, and making uncomfortable choices. Machiavelli never sugarcoated this reality. He understood that leadership, and indeed any true success, requires the strength to be disliked, to make decisions that others might not understand, and to prioritize long-term strategy over short-term praise. This is why his philosophy remains profoundly relevant today. Most people still chase validation over genuine victory. But if you're willing to endure misunderstanding for the sake of true progress, you will naturally separate yourself from the majority. Consider the concept of loyalty. Machiavelli was not naive about it. He didn't believe in blind trust. He believed in conditional loyalty, loyalty that is earned, tested, and constantly reassessed. The uncomfortable truth is that people are fundamentally loyal to their own interests. If being loyal to you benefits them, they will be. The moment it no longer serves their self-interest, they will pivot. Therefore, build relationships based on mutual leverage rather than naive trust. Reward loyalty when it's proven, but never rely on it blindly. This isn't pessimism, it's realism. You must also grasp that chaos often creates opportunity. While others are panicking, a Machiavellian mind remains calm and observant. While the world scrambles in reaction, you organize your thoughts and observe the unfolding situation. This is where true power is often seized, not when everything is stable and predictable, but when everything is uncertain and in flux. Most people try merely to survive storms. The strategic individual uses them as leverage to rise. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors those who prepare, adapt, and act decisively when others hesitate. In his view, luck isn't random. It's often the residue of preparation meeting opportunity. The modern world is a continuous battlefield for attention, influence, and perception. Whether you realize it or not, you are already participating in this game. The crucial question is, are you a pawn reacting to life's circumstances, or a player actively shaping them? Are you trying to please everyone, or are you focused on winning? Machiavelli would argue that if you're not playing to win, you've already lost, because someone else undoubtedly is playing smarter than you, and they might even use your own ideals against you. You've been taught that morality is the ultimate good, but Machiavelli would challenge you to ask, whose morality, whose rules are you following, and who truly benefits from your obedience? Sometimes, the very values we cling to can become chains that bind us. To be truly free and effective, you must have the courage to critically examine your beliefs, your strategies, and your assumptions, and be willing to discard anything that no longer serves your true objectives. Not everything that sounds noble is useful. Not every virtue leads to victory, and not every threat comes with a clear warning. The most effective people in history weren't those who waited to be chosen. They chose themselves. They didn't wait for permission, validation, or applause. They moved with clear intent, fully aware that trying to be liked by everyone often means being controlled by everyone. Machiavelli understood that those who truly rise are rarely the ones who play it safe. They are the ones who take calculated risks, who act decisively while others hesitate, and who understand that silence and patience are not weaknesses, but powerful forms of preparation. To win, you must become immune to distraction. You must train yourself to see what others miss. Every conversation is a subtle negotiation, every compliment a potential tactic, every piece of information a puzzle piece. The masses react to life, but the Machiavellian mind anticipates it. It observes patterns, identifies hidden motives, and prepares responses before the questions are even asked. This isn't paranoia, it's psychological clarity. It's knowing that most people speak with masks on, and if you listen carefully enough, you can discern the truth behind the disguise. To master this skill, you must first master yourself. Emotional control is the foundation of all strategy. If your emotions control you, others will inevitably use them against you. Anger can be easily triggered, ego can be inflated, and desperation can be sensed. But if you are centered, if your mind is steady and calm, you become unreadable. And the unreadable cannot be easily manipulated. Machiavelli would advise, do not show all your cards. Never let others know how deeply you care, how badly you want something, or how much you fear something. This isn't coldness, it's wisdom. What you conceal protects you. What you reveal can be used to weaken you. Learn to respond with silence when others would react with emotion. That's where your power truly grows. True strength isn't loud or boastful. It's in discipline. It's in the ability to do what must be done, even when no one is watching. The Machiavellian mindset isn't about arrogance. It's about leverage, knowing how to position yourself so that your very presence shifts the dynamics in any room. You don't have to dominate through brute force. You dominate by being unpredictable, unshakable, and mentally several steps ahead. Influence begins the moment people start to wonder what you're thinking, and the moment they fear what you might do next. People fear what they cannot predict, and what they fear, they often respect. Understand that most people live in a state of constant distraction, their attention pulled in 1,000 different directions. But power comes from focus, from being able to zoom in on your objectives while others are scattered. This focus allows you to execute long-term strategies while the rest of the world chases short-term validation. While others crave immediate comfort, you build lasting structures. While others complain, you calculate. The world doesn't hand success to the merely clever, it hands it to the prepared. And preparation isn't a one-time event, it's a mindset, a daily battle against your own weaknesses. Every day, you either sharpen your edge or you allow it to dull. This is the unspoken, undeniable truth of winning. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors those who actively create their own conditions, and that waiting passively is often a form of losing. Time, once wasted, becomes your enemy. If you genuinely want to win, act before you feel entirely ready. Make your move when others are still debating whether it's the right time, because by the time they decide, you'll already be 10 steps ahead. This isn't recklessness, it's calculated decisiveness, a form of mental aggression that pushes you to take initiative and shape outcomes, rather than being shaped by them. Learn to study people without announcing it. Observe how they respond to pressure, what makes them laugh, what they instinctively avoid, or what they overcompensate for. Every tiny detail is a signal, and if you observe with trained eyes, the truth of who they are becomes remarkably visible. Machiavelli's genius wasn't in advocating cruelty, it was in teaching clarity, the kind of clarity that comes from seeing people as they are, not as you wish them to be. When you stop expecting people to be good by default, you stop being shocked when they aren't. This removes your emotional vulnerability and sharpens your ability to maneuver. However, this clarity must be paired with adaptability. A rigid mind breaks under pressure. The Machiavellian mind bends, recalibrates, and evolves. It doesn't cling to a single strategy or identity, it morphs as needed, while its core purpose remains untouched. This is why some of the most powerful figures in history were hard to define. They were whatever the situation demanded. They were not predictable, and therefore not easy to eliminate. You must learn to be both many things and no one thing, to wear different masks while remaining grounded in your deeper intent. This is how you navigate the world with both subtlety and unstoppable force. Machiavelli also issued a strong warning against complacency. Once you achieve a degree of power, the game changes. New threats emerge, expectations grow, and your adversaries become more cunning. Many individuals rise quickly only to fall faster because they mistakenly believe winning is the end. In truth, winning merely grants you access to a new, more intense level of the game. Maintenance of power is often harder than the ascent itself. If you lack the foresight to defend what you've gained, someone else will inevitably take it from you. Therefore, always plan beyond the present moment. Think in decades while others think in days. Guard your position not with arrogance, but with meticulous strategy. As Machiavelli observed, a truly wise leader must assume the worst while striving for the best. This doesn't mean being negative, it means being realistic. It means understanding that betrayal often comes disguised as praise, that threats can wear friendly faces, and that most people are loyal only to their own convenience. Winning isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the last one standing when the noise fades. This requires endurance, foresight, and relentless mental refinement. Learn to detach from temporary emotions so you can protect your permanent goals. The world will constantly try to pull you into its drama, its illusions, its endless noise, but you must remain centered in your grand strategy. Don't fight battles that don't truly matter. Don't waste energy explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Don't waste time trying to prove your worth. Instead, invest time in increasing it. Machiavelli might say, never beg to sit at a table when you can build your own. This isn't ego, it's sovereignty, and sovereignty is the true beginning of real power. Remember this fundamental truth. You cannot control the world, but you absolutely can control your mind. And once your mind is disciplined, the world around you begins to bend. Not because it becomes easier, but because you become stronger. You start to see where others stumble. You begin to win battles before they even commence. You start to move differently, speak with precision, and act with deliberate intent. This is what it means to win, not through naive hope or blind luck, but through strategy, profound insight, and unapologetic self-determination. The majority of people will never grasp the profound weight and power of strategic silence. They believe that speaking more proves intelligence, that explaining everything demonstrates honesty, and that complete openness earns trust. But Machiavelli knew better. He understood that words are a form of currency, and spending them carelessly leads to a poverty of influence. When you speak less, your words gain immense power. When you hold your tongue, people lean in, curiosity becomes your ally, and mystery becomes your potent weapon. You don't need to reveal your entire strategy to be effective. You need to execute it in ways that leave others confused about how you achieved your results. In this world, power doesn't always stem from what you say. It comes from what others believe you are capable of doing. And belief in the human mind is often stronger than mere fact. Your reputation becomes your shadow. It precedes you, speaking volumes before you even enter a room. That's why Machiavelli emphasized guarding it at all costs. A damaged reputation weakens your position, invites enemies to strike, and makes allies doubt you. You must act as if your name is a fortress, and every careless word, every poorly calculated move, chips away at its walls. Build your reputation slowly, reinforce it consistently, and defend it ruthlessly. You don't get to choose whether people judge you. You only get to influence what they judge you by. Master this, and you control how they perceive you before they ever hear your voice. The greatest advantage a person can have is being underestimated. When people don't perceive you as a threat, they lower their defenses. That's when you can truly study them, maneuver without resistance, and build your strength quietly. Machiavelli didn't believe in making unnecessary noise. He believed in making decisive moves. Let others talk, let others post their opinions, let others desperately demand attention. Your work should speak so loudly that they never see your true intention coming until it's already too late. Patience, not passivity, is the true Machiavellian key. It's the kind of patience that looks like stillness on the outside, but is intense calculation on the inside. You aren't merely waiting, you are observing. You aren't hesitating, you are studying. And when the time is precisely right, you don't ask for permission, you act with unwavering conviction. When you live this way, you become immune to the emotional chaos of others. You stop reacting to insults, you stop chasing fleeting validation, and you stop trying to prove your worth to those who simply cannot comprehend your vision. Instead, you relentlessly refine your skills, you sharpen your mind, and you become so laser-focused on the long game that the short-term noise becomes utterly irrelevant. That is power. That is what winning truly looks like beneath the surface, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where the real decisions are forged. Machiavelli would tell you that life is a battlefield disguised as a banquet. Everyone appears friendly, but almost everyone is hungry for status, for leverage, for recognition. And when resources become scarce, smiles fade. So build your strategy like armor. Never let your true hunger be visible, and never let your ambition be obvious. Move like water, shaping, flowing, adapting, but beneath that calm surface, be made of steel. Never forget that most people don't want the raw truth, they want comfort. And when your clarity threatens their comforting illusions, they will turn on you. So don't waste your energy trying to convince them, don't squander your insight on closed minds. Instead, learn how to use that very truth as fuel for your own strategic ascent. Machiavelli believed that if the crowd is against you, it's not always a failure. It's often a confirmation that you are not one of them. And the path to genuine power rarely begins with popular agreement. It begins with tension, resistance, and often isolation. This is why the strongest minds frequently walk alone, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into the realm of strategy. Most can only exist in perpetual reaction. To win, you must rise above the deafening noise of popular opinion and trust your own reasoned judgment more than their collective emotions. The more dependent you are on being understood and approved, the more easily others can control you. The very moment you let go of needing applause, you become truly unstoppable. There is no fixed map to victory, only profound awareness. Machiavelli would remind you that every situation is unique, every battle has different terrain, and every person possesses different motives. This is precisely why blind principles so often fail. You cannot win with rigid formulas. You win by adapting, by learning the existing rules, and then knowing precisely when and how to bend them. By mastering your environment rather than hopping it remains predictable. The illusion of certainty is the death of progress. That's why comfort is the ultimate enemy of strategy. The moment you stop evolving, someone else begins plotting your replacement. This is the truth that separates the truly driven from the complacent. The complacent believe success, once achieved, is permanent. The driven know that success is rented, and the rent is due every single day, paid in awareness, in decisive action, in unwavering discipline. There's no coasting, no autopilot. You are either advancing or you are declining, and those who understand this are rarely caught off guard. Machiavelli wrote that effective rulers should strive to be both loved and feared, but if they cannot be both, it is safer to be feared. Why? Because love fades. It can transform into disappointment, envy, or even betrayal. But fear, when built on consistency, competence, and respect, can endure. This fear is rooted in strength, not cruelty, in respect, not tyranny. The ultimate goal isn't to be hated, it is to be unchallenged, to be the presence that steadies the room, not because people like you, but because they profoundly respect the gravity you bring. That gravity comes from undeniable competence, from absolute self-mastery, from knowing that no matter what others do, you are in complete control of yourself. You control your schedule, you control your impulses, you control your mind. In a world increasingly defined by chaos, self-control is incredibly rare, and what is rare is inherently valuable. What is valuable is powerful. So become valuable by becoming the person who does not break, who does not chase fleeting fads, who does not flinch under pressure. There's immense power in being truly unshakable. When people cannot read you, they fear what you might know. When they cannot influence you, they begin to respect you. When they realize you are fundamentally different from the rest, they adjust their own behavior, and that adjustment is where your strategic advantage truly begins. Machiavelli didn't intend for you to be heartless. He wanted you to be smart, strategic, well-informed, and capable of mercy but never bound by it, able to show kindness but never at the cost of your strategic position. You must hold two truths simultaneously. The world can be beautiful and the world can be brutal. Hope is not a strategy. Wishes are not tactics. If you want to win, you must outthink those who act on impulse, outlast those who seek quick results, and outmaneuver those who only know one way of doing things. Victory is not won in loud displays. It is won in the quiet moments where you make decisions others never even see coming. Winning is not a destination you arrive at and then relax. It is a rhythm you must maintain, a constant tension you must manage. Because the very moment you feel completely secure, you become blind. The same sharp eyes that once watched for threats begin to close, and it is always in that precise moment, when you stop sharpening your edge, that someone else begins to rise. Machiavelli knew that complacency was the most silent assassin of power. A leader who forgets the intense hunger it took to climb will never recognize the hunger of those beneath him until it is tragically too late. You must never stop watching. You must never stop adjusting. Power is not held by force alone. It is held primarily by awareness. The moment you stop looking around, you lose control of what is changing around you. And the world, especially now, never stops changing. Technology moves at warp speed, opinions shift rapidly, cultures evolve constantly. What worked yesterday is often exploited today and rendered obsolete tomorrow. So to win, you must remain incredibly adaptable, not flexible in your core values or ultimate purpose, but profoundly flexible in your strategy. Machiavelli would remind you that rigidity is a weakness. The sturdy oak breaks in a storm, but the flexible reed bends and survives. So, study the terrain, then shape yourself to move through it, but always keep your core intent sharp and your ultimate goals unshaken. The wise strategist can adjust their form without ever compromising their unwavering purpose. This is how you remain timeless and effective in a world that is constantly rewriting itself. And with that adaptability comes leverage, the ability to use small, precise efforts to create massive results. It's the understanding that one well-placed action at the right time and in the right place can shift everything. Most people waste energy over-explaining, over-committing, and over-promising. But you will learn to conserve your energy, to strike only when the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor, to observe patiently until the conditions align. Not out of fear, but out of total control. There's immense power in knowing that just because you can act doesn't mean you should. An action, when chosen deliberately and precisely, can be the most devastating move of all. It keeps people guessing. It forces them to reveal their own impatience, and in their haste, they often hand you the very information you need. This is what truly separates a player of the game from a master of it. A master plays with time, with tension, with anticipation. Most people try to dominate with brute speed, but speed without clear direction is chaos. Winning isn't always about acting fast. It's about acting right, acting at the exact moment when your impact is maximal and your exposure is minimal. This is what Machiavelli meant by true preparation. The discipline of restraint, the mastery of timing, the refusal to be rushed by fleeting emotion or external pressure. In speaking of emotion, understand this profoundly. The most powerful weapon that can be used against you is not a physical tool, a law, or even another person's aggression. It is your own unchecked feelings. Emotion, when ungoverned, becomes a leash. A skilled manipulator will expertly pull on your anger, your fear, your guilt, or your desire. And if you don't recognize this manipulation, you'll mistakenly believe these triggered feelings are your truth. But Machiavelli warned that the greatest victories come not from overpowering others, but from outlasting your own impulses. If you cannot control yourself, you cannot truly lead. You are simply another puppet, yanked by strings you don't even know exist. Learn to sit in discomfort, learn to delay gratification, learn to consistently choose logic over fury and clarity over pride. These are not easy skills to acquire, they are brutal to master. But they are the absolute foundation of unshakable strength. The kind of strength that doesn't crumble when things go wrong, because it was built silently, in solitude, under immense pressure. There is a profound silence in real power. It doesn't need to scream, it doesn't demand to be seen. It simply moves, and others profoundly feel it. The insecure desperately seek the spotlight, the truly powerful build in the shadows. This isn't about isolation, it's about sovereignty. When you no longer require the world's constant affirmation, you are free to make moves on your own terms. Your focus becomes ruthless, your decisions gain immense gravity, and people begin to sense it, not because you told them, but because your very presence carries the palpable weight of purpose. Machiavelli knew that in every kingdom, whether real or metaphorical, perception fundamentally shapes reality. If people believe you are capable, you become capable in their minds. If they believe you are strategic, they will interpret your every action as part of a larger, deliberate plan. If they believe you are inevitable, they will eventually stop resisting. And that critical belief begins with how you carry yourself. Do you hesitate? Do you apologize for your ambition? Do you shrink when others disapprove? If so, you are inadvertently training the world to doubt you. But if you move with quiet, unwavering confidence, if your posture signals control, if your words are chosen like precision weapons, you train the world to respect you and eventually to follow you. Because most people are adrift. They desperately want to follow someone who seems to know precisely where they're going. Become that person, not by pretending, but by thorough preparation. Build yourself in silence, so that when you move in public, you do not need to explain. The undeniable results will speak louder than any justification ever could. And the more you practice this, the less you fear loss, because you begin to understand that true power is not in what you own, but in what you can rebuild. Not in what people give you, but in what you can take back through your own capability. This is how you become truly dangerous, not through aggression, but through an almost indifferent courage in the face of fear. You know that no matter what happens, you can adapt, adjust, survive, and rise again. And that makes you effectively untouchable. This was the profound spirit behind Machiavelli's most controversial teachings. Not cruelty for cruelty's sake, not manipulation without purpose, but the unwavering willingness to do what others are too afraid to do. To face reality without a mask, to make decisive moves in a world that consistently punishes hesitation, to choose strength when weakness is often applauded. He wrote not for the naive, but for the bold, for those who understood that in a flawed world, perfection is not only impossible, it's actively dangerous, because it blinds you to what actually works. The perfect leader does not exist, the strategic one does. And if you want to win, that is precisely what you must become. A strategist, a master of angles, a dedicated student of patterns, a true master of timing. A person who knows how to effectively use the full spectrum of available tools: charm and silence, kindness and severity, truth and illusion. You do not need to be liked. You need to be respected. You need to be effective. You need to build so precisely, so deliberately, that your very presence becomes a powerful move in itself. There is a defining moment in every truly transformative journey where the illusions finally fall away, where the noise, the fleeting praise, the harsh judgment, all of it loses its power. And what remains is the raw, unvarnished truth. You, your unwavering intent, your profound clarity, your quiet willingness to act while others hesitate in fear. This is the very moment most people avoid. They retreat to comfort, to convenient excuses, to the comforting belief that their failures were always someone else's fault. But the one who genuinely wins looks inward. They sharpen their mind, refine their strategy, and solidify their presence. They accept that not everyone will understand them, that the true path to power is narrow, often lonely, and filled with decisions that make others uncomfortable. But comfort has never built anything lasting. Comfort tells people to wait, to hope, to wish. Machiavelli never waited. He watched, he studied, and he wrote for those with the courage to move when others were frozen in indecision. You are not meant to wait passively. You are not meant to obey unthinking. You are meant to lead yourself first, and then, by extension, the world around you. And true leadership doesn't begin when others start to follow you. It begins when you stop following the pervasive lies you were told about what it means to be good, what it means to be liked, or what it truly means to win. Winning isn't selfish, it's sovereign. It's what happens when you take full, uncompromising responsibility for your own direction. When you stop hopping for a lucky break and start meticulously building one. When you stop asking for opportunities and start relentlessly creating them. When you move with clear, unwavering intent while others scroll aimlessly, whine, and sleepwalk through life. This world ultimately belongs to those who build silently and strike strategically. To those who understand that fear is a currency, time is a formidable weapon, and silence is often louder than any noise when placed with devastating precision. You don't need to fight every battle, just the right ones. You don't need to be the best at everything, just the best at what truly matters. You don't need to be perfect, just impossible to predict. You don't need to be ruthless, just prepared to be when circumstances demand it. And when you embody these qualities, the world profoundly shifts. People respond differently to you. They sense that your presence is not casual, that your words are not mere noise, that your decisions are not mere reactions. You become a powerful presence that actively shapes situations, instead of being passively shaped by them. You stop asking, "What will the world give me?" And you begin asking, "What will I take?" Not from ego, but from a deep-seated principle, because you've studied, you've endured, you've faced your own inner truths, and now you are undeniably ready to win, not by their rules, but by the undeniable force of your results. That is what Machiavelli truly meant. Not to be cruel, but to be clear. Not to be feared for your destruction, but for your unwavering discipline. Not to chase power for its own sake, but to wield it effectively without needing to constantly show it off. The true strategist is often invisible until the results they achieve are absolutely undeniable. That is the kind of profound strength you can build here. That is the kind of mind that, throughout history, has moved empires. So wherever you are in your journey, understand this. The world around you is watching the wrong things. It is addicted to constant distraction, to fleeting trends, to superficial noise. But you are different because you now truly see the game. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. You begin to move differently. You don't waste precious energy on futile arguments. You don't play for momentary attention. You play for enduring control. And you will win, not because you're lucky, or loud, or superficially perfect, but because you are profoundly prepared. And preparation is something no one can ever take from you. Power isn't something you merely hold. It's something you earn daily, in silence, in relentless discipline, in the countless small, strategic decisions that no one else ever sees, until they look back and suddenly realize everything changed the moment you stopped reacting and started meticulously planning. This is your undeniable edge. This is your most potent weapon. And if you've made it this far, internalizing these truths, it's already sharpening. Now it's your move. Use this knowledge. Reread this whenever you feel yourself forgetting these fundamental principles. Relearn it every single time you slip or face a setback. And most importantly, apply it relentlessly. Don't just consume information, weaponize it. Let it fundamentally shape your actions, your posture, your very presence. Let it be the quiet fire behind your strategic silence, the unbreakable structure beneath your growing strength. Let it serve as a constant reminder that no one is coming to crown you. You must crown yourself. You must claim your edge, carve your unique path, and rightfully own your throne. And remember, as Machiavelli, if he were alive today, might say, the world doesn't give power, it yields it to those who know precisely how to take it. Stay focused, stay sharp, stay unseen until your results make you utterly impossible to ignore.